Victor Osimhen has claimed that he's made a decision on his future and that we'll find out at the end of the season who the club will be that he joins. This is one of the most hotly anticipated transfer sagas of the summer. Unfortunately, January has been very bland. If you want to know my thoughts on why that could pick up, go check out this video up here. But in terms of the summer, Osimhen was on the big talking points, and he has come out and said, in his words, that I have already made my decision on the next step to do, on what to do at the end of the season. I already made up my mind. I already have my plan. I know what I want to do, the next step I want to take. That's what he said to CBS. He went on, in fact, to then say, I think 60% of the people mentioned the rumours about me linked with the Premier League. Premier League is one of the biggest leagues in the world. I want to finish the season with Napoli strong and then come up with the decision I've already made. Now that last line I interpret as him saying I want to finish my season with Napoli and then reveal what I'll be doing. This for me leaves, well, it gives us quite a lot. I didn't expect to hear so much from Victor Osimhen this early. I mean, of course, we are in the middle of a January transfer window. We're not even coming close to the summer one. But I think the big thing is that it actually still gives us a lot of room to speculate. So that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to have a little look at 3 clubs I believe should and are apparently looking at Victor Osimhen and then come to a conclusion as to where he will be playing his football. Because I hate to say, I actually think when you pull the evidence together, it's pretty obvious where he'll be playing. But let's just go through what we do know. Victor Osimhen has a release clause. It's about 105 to 110 million reportedly. Of course, these figures can be difficult to know. We're talking about sort of, you know, contracts between agents and clubs or whatever. That feels like money that is achievable, but also would leave a big dent in a transfer budget. And I think that's why Arsenal are a really, really interesting team to discuss in all this. We know that they want a killer. We know that they want a more reliable goal scorer. What's interesting is when you look at Arsenal's recent games, I know they beat Palace 5-0, but in many, many games before that, I think it was a 7 before, they struggled to score more than 2 goals and drew blanks at Villa Park, at Fulham, at home against Liverpool, at home against West Ham. They did actually score against Fulham, my bad. But generally, they weren't scoring for the chances they were having and they were lacking something. The feeling is you add a 30-goal-a-season striker and boom, your problems are solved. Is Osimhen that guy? I don't think Arsenal are the leaders in all this, and the reason I say that is because apparently they want 2 fullbacks, a defensive midfielder or at least another midfielder of some kind, and some depth at right wing along with a striker. Now that's a lot of work to do. That's 5 players still to sign, and FFP, you know, struggles are basically stopping Arsenal doing much in January. So it seems a lot of the work's going to have to be done in the summer. Victor Osimhen would be 105 million plus out of that transfer budget, and I just don't see Arsenal doing that. With the whole heap of strikers available on the market, I've got a list of some of them here from the likes of Tony, Tesesco, Openda, Vlahovic, Solanke, Jimenez, Gyökeres, Watkins. I'm not saying they're all available, but there are other players Arsenal could look at. It makes it think that Arsenal might just skip the release clause of over 100 million and try and negotiate for players that they could get a little bit cheaper. Ivan Toney will have 1 year left, on his contract in the summer. If you click on this video here, you'll find out why I think he is the guy that Arsenal will end up going for. But like I said, if you're trying to add a Pedro Neto, a Zubimendi who's been linked, and a few other players, I just don't see 105 million pounds going on Victor Osimhen personally. So who does that leave? Well, one of the clubs is Real Madrid. They don't really tend to play with an out-and-out number 9, which is interesting because their last big investment was Jude Bellingham. He has been their biggest source for goals. I think he's already got about 14 goals in La Liga this season. He has been, he's taken like a duck to water there. He's been absolutely fantastic. And as you can see, he's been playing more as an attacking midfielder or in that kind of second striker role with no out-and-out number 9 and sort of like a diamond midfield. What's fascinating about that is you can't really say he's playing as a second striker because they don't have a first striker in the first place. So he's really thrived in that, but with an aging Kroos and Modric, could he kind of maybe drop a little bit deeper as he develops at Real Madrid, more into one of those midfield 3 positions, and then a number 9 comes in? While I think this is possible because they don't have a great roster of 9s from Vinny to Rodrigo, Joselu and Brahim mentioned on the website, the reality is they're going all out for Mbappe. And so Osimhen to Real Madrid just doesn't feel likely because you're basically talking about maybe £250 million worth of investment there, and they seem to in the last few years get that one, whether it be Bellingham, Tchouaméni before that, Hazard in recent years, they seem to go for that one and then get the other players around that. So I just think Osimhen, while maybe a fit, I think they're likely going to go for Mbappe, and that's going to be, the basket with all the eggs in it, quite frankly. That leaves Chelsea then. I'm just going to come out and say it. I think he's obviously going to Chelsea. I really think it's like, yeah, that's where he'll be. And the excitement is almost kind of sucked out of this transfer because there is so much pointing towards that being the deal that gets done. Chelsea haven't been afraid to spend money under Todd Boehly. Why would they be afraid to do a deal like this anyway? You might throw out FFP, you might throw out the fact that they've maybe changed their ways, but I think changing their ways is probably not signing 10 players in one window and actually putting a large portion of their cash towards the one guy that's going to be the catalyst to make a difference. Maybe they want to keep the squad settled, but they also need another number 9 with Broja up for sale for 50 million. Nicholas Jackson not really doing it, and Kunku's more of a second striker but can play up front, so Osimhen feels like the guy. But there's so much more to it. In this picture where he was wished a happy birthday and someone said please come and rescue Chelsea soon, to which he replied to it. Now you can read too much into that kind of stuff. He was maybe just wishing a happy birthday to, or just replying to someone who wished him a happy birthday. It could just be that. I hear it, but I don't know, it makes the mind sort of tick. But okay, we got more stuff. On the John Obi Mikel podcast, the Obi-Wan podcast, very clever name, I'll say, John Obi Mikel said, it's not the time to go to Saudi next season. I know you're going to come to Chelsea. I'm going to be the agent to broker that deal. You're 100% coming to Chelsea. In that same podcast, Victor Osimhen responded, I had 2 jerseys from my brother when I was a kid, Chelsea and Man United. When I was playing grassroots, I was compared to Didier Drogba. We used to use my brother's phone to watch Drogba. I would then go on the pitch and try to emulate his game. I still watch Drogba's comps now. He's comparing himself to Drogba, a Chelsea legend. He is wearing the Chelsea shirt. He's saying he's on the John Obi Mikel podcast. Like, it just feels like it's going that way. And like I said, I think Chelsea will want to make a statement this summer, and Osimhen, rather than a whole heap of other signings, could be that one big statement that maybe elevates Chelsea massively. And I could see Todd Boehly in the hierarchy really looking towards Osimhen being the answer in that respect. Now, some of you might be asking, okay, that's all well and good, but you've listed Arsenal, who, you know, have been in title races recently and are on the up. You've listed Real Madrid, who just have continued success all the time. Why would you go to Chelsea, who have been lingering around mid-table for the last few years, and who's to say they can afford him? That big question on why would you go to Chelsea, I don't think it's that difficult to answer. For everything I've just mentioned about what affiliation you might have with the club, which, by the way, I think people underestimate how much players actually do care about that. I don't think it's something to just completely be brushed off. I think that does matter to players to a degree. Chelsea they are a big club, and they will continue to be for a while. I think they've got to have a long time being like sitting in mid-table before people stop taking them seriously, because they've got the money to spend on big players, because their history was fairly recent from winning the Champions League in 2021, for example, and because if they throw enough money at it, the assumption is that they will get there eventually and they will get it right. And so Osimhen might be backing himself to be the difference, but also Chelsea to just get it right eventually. Man United have had terrible last 10 years by the standards they set, by the money they've spent, and yet they've come out with an FA Cup, a couple Carabao Cups, I think, a Europa League, playing a bit of Champions League football. So when all is said and done, a lot of the players that have been there for a lot of that have still got some things to throw at their CV. So that's why I think ultimately a player like Osimhen would still go to Chelsea, forgetting just the fact that he seems to have a real connection to that club. Those are the 3 clubs I think are involved. Liverpool, I don't think so. United just spent big money on Højlund. I can't see anyone else really coming in. Barcelona, I'm not sure. Bayern Munich have Kane. It's all up in the air, but we're here to speculate, and my speculation / mini investigation tells me that I think this is heading one way, and it is to Stamford Bridge. And I just want to say a really big thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, actually hit the links right here to watch more content like this, including my Football First podcast, which drops every Monday to Friday at 6 AM. And I know it's annoying, I am really sorry to have to ask, but if you want to show support to the channel, hitting the like and subscribe buttons help promote the content much more than you could possibly know. Thanks again.